Hi, everyone, and welcome to our final session of the day for Accelerate. I hope you've been enjoying all the engaging talks and panel discussions and QAs, and we've got a really great final talk here. I've got the pleasure of introducing the inspiring Dr. Dédé Tetsubayashi, and she's going to be sharing some real world stories about how organizations are implementing inclusive design for their products and how they're coding in groups that technology has previously failed to recognize or accommodate. Dr. Dede is a global leader in equitable technology design with over 2 decades of experience in AI, machine learning, and ethical tech. Dr. Dede, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Sean. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everyone, depending on where you are in the world. I'm Dr. Dédé Tetsubayashi from Incluu, and today we're diving into the ways technology too often codes people out and how we can unapologetically code in justice, resilience, and markets for all. These stories are real, and the frameworks are actionable, as well as the future, which is now ours to write. Let's start with what it means to be coded out. When technology fails to see or accommodate real people, invisibility becomes the default. It's in forms with only two gender choices, AIs that can't understand our speech, or in applications that overlook disabilities. For many of us, myself included, this exclusion is both personal and systemic. The question we need to ask is, who are we missing? The problem is that exclusion isn't actually a fluke. It's often the default when we design and build technology. Unfortunately, this means building for a mythical user who doesn't exist, so we're actually building for no one. Our systems reflect our biases, both conscious and unconscious, and the consequences are real. For example, 1 in 4 Americans with disabilities report that they never go online. 62% of seniors feel technology isn't designed for them. And 83% of emerging market users face significant barriers to digital access. This isn't about missing edge and stress use cases, it's about missing entire communities. Let's get into how we can code in and some case studies that show how designing to code in everyone work for all of us. We'll start with the 4 pillars of coding in. My framework for rewriting exclusionary systems transforms equity from an ideal into a measurable reality. These 4 principles work together to create technology that serves everyone, not just the privileged few. 1, you want to lead with curiosity, question assumptions, explore edge and stress use cases, and actively seek perspectives that challenge conventional wisdom. Curiosity uncovers our blind spots that exclusion thrives in. 2, be accountable. Take responsibility for impact, not just intent. Establish metrics, create feedback loops, and commit to continuous improvement based on real user outcomes. 3, solve for one and then extend to many. Design solutions for the most constrained user and the most extreme use cases. These innovations typically benefit everyone while ensuring nobody is left behind. And 4, take action. Move beyond your good intentions to concrete implementation. Start small, measure the impact, iterate based on feedback, and then scale successfully into other interventions. These pillars work synergistically. Curiosity reveals problems, accountability ensures solutions stick, inclusive design creates broader value, and actions turn insights into impact. This is a great study that shows how shifting systems from coding out to coding in can work well. The problem was a global bank's AI-powered voice authentication system was locking out users with regional accents, speech disabilities, and non-native speakers. Customer service calls also skyrocketed as millions couldn't access their accounts. The initial response from the bank, unfortunately, was train users to speak more clearly. This approach, though, blamed users for system failures rather than addressing the underlying bias in training data and algorithmic assumptions. The solution, co-designing with the affected communities, and this revealed specific failure patterns. Reversing bias audits identified gaps in training data. The team then retrained models with diverse speech samples and implemented adaptive recognition. The results? The login success tripled, customer satisfaction increased 40%, and retention improved across all demographics, especially among elderly users and regional speakers. This case demonstrates how solving with and for the edge and stress use cases, users with the most constraints create solutions that work better for everyone. The enhanced system didn't just accommodate difference, it actually leveraged diversity to build more robust, trustworthy technology. And a key insight, when we expand our definition of normal speech patterns, we create authentication systems that are more secure, inclusive, and resilient against both bias and attack vectors. Another great example of shifting systems to coding in is VoiceIt plus WebEx. Traditional video conferencing tools inadvertently excluded people with speech differences, motor disabilities, or communication disorders from full participation in workplace discussions. The result? Lost insights, reduced innovation, and systematic exclusion of valuable team members. What they did in order to shift things was, one, identify the barrier. Team members with atypical speech patterns were consistently overlooked in meetings despite having crucial insights and expertise to contribute. The second thing they did was actually co-design the solution. Partnership with VoiceIt enabled real-time captioning in WebEx for non-standard speech patterns while preserving the speaker's unique voice and communication style. The third thing they did was measure impact. Teams reported 12% productivity gains, increased psychological safety, and breakthrough innovations from previously silenced voices. Managers began hearing ideas they never accessed before, and team dynamics shifted as communication became truly inclusive, not just accommodating. The accessibility first approach transformed an entire organizational culture, proving inclusive design amplifies collective intelligence. There are also ripple effects. Enhanced captioning benefited team members with hearing differences, non-native speakers, and anyone in noisy environments or having poor connectivity situations. Another case study that I'd like to share with you is Microsoft. Microsoft's journey with the adaptive controller exemplifies how inclusive design methodology creates breakthrough innovations that serve far beyond the original target audience. The genesis was that rather than designing for disabled gamers, Microsoft designed with them as equal partners and co-creators throughout the entire development process. This shift from charity model to collaboration model unlocked insights that traditional user research had already missed. The modular AI-powered controller became popular with families who were creating shared gaming experiences, content creators for developing unique interaction methods, elderly users who are maintaining connections with gaming communities, rehabilitation centers that are using gaming for therapeutic purposes, industrial designers who are exploring adaptive interface concepts. And what we understand here is that designing with became a rallying cry that transformed not only Microsoft's entire approach to accessibility, but it's a greater call for the rest of the world to shift in their development processes. The controller won design awards. It expanded market research and established new industry standards for inclusive hardware development. Most importantly, though, it demonstrated that when we center the most constrained users in our design process, we don't create niche products. we actually create universal innovations that benefit anyone and everyone while ensuring that nobody is excluded. Another case study I'd like to share is Google's Project Euphonia. It tackled one of AI's most persistent biases, which is the assumption that there is a correct or normal way to speak. By training algorithms to understand atypical speech patterns, the project expanded access while improving accuracy across all user groups. In 2019, they recognized the gap. Voice assistants had 20 to 30% higher error rates for users with speech disabilities, ALS, Parkinson's, or stroke-related speech changes. From 2020 to 2021 was their co-creation phase. They recorded sessions with, they recorded voice sessions with volunteer speakers and used these to create training data sets that reflected real speech diversity rather than idealized pronunciations. In 2022, they saw breakthrough results. AI accuracy improved by 20% for atypical speech while maintaining performance for typical speech patterns. From 2023 to the present, they've been scaling impact. They've had integration across Google's ecosystem, enabling millions to access voice-activated services previously unavailable to them. And the unexpected benefit? Enhanced speech recognition works better for everyone using voice commands in noisy environments, with colds, or while multitasking. Inclusion made the technology more robust for all use cases. Now, financial technology promised to democratize access to credit, but algorithmic bias replicated and amplified traditional exclusions. Comprehensive bias audits across fintech platforms in India, Kenya, and Nigeria revealed systematic patterns of discrimination that required immediate intervention. During their audit phase, comprehensive analysis revealed credit scoring algorithms that penalize users for zip codes, names, phone models, and social network patterns, proxies that were used for protected characteristics or demographics. Implementing the human in the loop, the appeal system allowed wrongly rejected applicants to challenge algorithmic systems decisions with a human to review. Introducing this appeals process was key. Second, they retrained their models. Diverse data sets and fairness constraints were integrated into model training with ongoing monitoring for bias drift and performance disparities. And their outcomes were 35% increase in loan approvals for underserved communities, 22% reduction in default rates across all demographics, 40% improvement in customer trust metrics, and expansion into previously unservable markets. The broader impact that we saw was that fair credit scoring created healthier loan portfolios, reduced regulatory risk, and opened new market opportunities while advancing financial inclusion goals. When it comes to education, AI-powered educational systems in Japan pioneered personalized learning approaches that recognize neuroexpansiveness or neurodiversity as a strength rather than as a deficit. By tracking engagement patterns for students with ADHD, autism, dyslexia, and other learning differences, these systems unlocked potential across entire classrooms. They looked at 4 areas: pattern recognition. AI identified early signs of disengagement and learning style preferences, as well as optimal pacing for individual students. The second was adaptive response. Content, timing, and presentation methods automatically adjusted to maintain optimal challenge levels and engagement. The third was early intervention. By providing proactive support, they were able to prevent learning gaps from widening, ensuring all students could demonstrate their capabilities. And the fourth, collective benefits. Classroom dynamics improved as every student found ways to contribute meaningfully to group learning. The results exceeded all expectations. Graduation rates increased 28%, standardized test scores improved across all demographics, and teacher satisfaction rose significantly as they could focus on instruction rather than managing disruptive behaviors caused by unmet learning needs. And most remarkably, neurotypical students benefited from teaching methods that were originally designed for neurodiverse or neuroexpansive learners, proving once again that inclusive design creates better outcomes for everyone. When schools integrated comprehensive assistive technology, such as smart captioning, adaptive reading tools, alternative communication devices, they didn't just accommodate students with disabilities. They transformed learning environments for everyone, students, parents, and teachers. They saw participation increase. Students with disabilities showed dramatic improvement in classroom engagement and discussion contribution. They saw a graduation rate boost, and completion rates for students using assistive technology exceeded district averages within 2 years. They also experienced teacher approval, and educators reported that assistive tools improved instruction quality for all students, not just the ones with identified additional needs. The ripple effects were profound. Real-time captioning helped students with hearing differences, but it also supported English language learners, students in noisy environments, and anyone processing complex vocabulary. Adaptive reading tools assisted students with dyslexia while also helping students engage with challenging texts more effectively. One elementary principal in Tokyo said, "When we removed barriers for students with disabilities, we discovered we had been limiting everyone's potential." These case studies demonstrate that accessibility investments create cascading benefits throughout all ecosystems, including educational ones, improving outcomes and opportunities for all learners and everyone while ensuring that no one is excluded from success. From Nairobi to Ulaanbaatar, AI-powered citizen mapping initiatives are revolutionizing urban planning by centering the needs of people with disabilities, elderly residents, families with young children, and other historically marginalized voices in cities by design. These collaborative mapping projects combined crowdsourced accessibility data from residents with lived experience, real-time infrastructure updates reflecting construction, repairs, and improvements, multimodal navigation options for different mobility needs and preferences, safety and comfort ratings from diverse community perspectives, integration with city planning to prioritize inclusive infrastructure investments, and the impact metrics are astounding. Cities using inclusive mapping report a 30% increase in public transit usage, a 25% improvement in pedestrian safety, higher community engagement in local governments, and increased economic activity in previously underutilized areas. When cities become accessible to wheelchair users, they become more navigable for parents with strollers, delivery workers, travelers with luggage, and anyone temporarily using mobility aids. Universal design creates cities that work better for all of us. And these initiatives prove again that inclusive technology isn't just about accommodation. It's about unleashing the full potential of urban environments to serve all residents equitably and effectively. It's about unleashing the full potential of all of us in anything that we do. The business case for inclusive design isn't just moral, it's mathematical. Every investment in coding generates measurable returns that compound across multiple dimensions of organizational success. Not only does engagement increase with users using accessible, inclusive experiences to show higher platform engagement and longer session durations, trust also improves. Organizations that prioritize inclusion see significant gains in user trust and brand loyalty. There's also the opportunity for market expansion. Inclusive products access previously underserved segments, expanding total addressable market. And you increase your innovation velocity. Diverse design constraints spark creative solutions that benefit broader user bases. It also provides competitive advantages such as risk mitigation. You're proactively preventing legal costs and challenges and preventing costly retrofitting. You're attracting talent, you're improving customer loyalty, and your innovation pipeline increases because your edge case solutions often become mainstream features. These aren't soft benefits or nice to have features. Inclusive design creates sustainable competitive advantages that compound over time. And organizations that code in don't just do good, they do better business by unleashing human potential across all communities. The evidence is clear. Inclusion is the ultimate growth strategy, transforming constraints into catalysts for innovation that serves everyone better. Now, transforming exclusionary systems requires intentional, systematic approaches that move beyond good intentions to measurable impact. We talked a little bit about it earlier, but this blueprint, the framework, has been tested across industries and cultures, consistently producing breakthrough results. One, it centers margins in every stage. Two, you solve for one, but you multiply for all. Three, you include humans in the loop and ensure, especially when it's an AI loop, that algorithmic decisions are not being made without human insight. It also ensures that you're building an appeals process and bias monitoring into every system. Four, you need to audit, measure, and share. Regular audits, inclusive metrics, and transparent reporting create accountability while building institutional knowledge. And finally, don't forget to act. Implementing the strategy starts with one high impact area, demonstrate measurable results, and then scale successfully into other interventions across your organization. Success stories can then become the fuel for broader organizational change. This blueprint works because it addresses systems, not just symptoms. And by embedding inclusive practices into standard operating procedures, organizations create sustainable change that outlasts individual champions or initiatives. Impact is the best argument for more inclusion. Measurable results convince stakeholders more effectively than moral arguments alone. And the ways that you can do this is that you start now. Every day we delay means more people get coded out, more innovations are unrealized, and more competitive advantages are lost to other organizations. So make sure that you're auditing your onboarding, updating your UI for true diversity, launch feedback tools, and build diverse teams. Remember, perfection is not the goal, progress is. So begin where you are, use what you have, and do what you can. The communities you serve are waiting for technology that finally includes them. Let's build together. Real change happens through collective action, and these actions will help you and your teams identify opportunities for immediate impact while building long-term inclusive cultures. I will leave you with this slide as one thing that you can take, one next step that you can take over the next week, the next month. Choose one question to discuss with your team, document insights, identify quick wins, and begin planning larger systematic changes. Coding in is both our competitive advantage and our collective responsibility. When we build for dignity, innovation, and belonging, we don't just serve more people, we create better solutions for everyone. The future belongs to organizations that understand this fundamental truth. Inclusion isn't a constraint on innovation, it's the catalyst for breakthrough thinking, and it serves our full human potential and diversity. Let's build technology that codes everyone in. The world is waiting. We are waiting. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Dr. Dédé. I love this talk so much, as you already know when we prep for this. So many good lessons for product leaders to take away and easy ways to get started shifting your mindset and having an impact. So thank you for the tangible takeaways as well. We have time for a couple of audience questions, and they really double down on some of what you shared. So the first is around the AI biases, which you shared being manifest in some of the fintech tools and some of the models that they were using for loan approval. Where else are you seeing the biases showing up in the models as product people are using AI to build more and more? Do you
Yes.
have any other examples of that bias showing up?
I have examples of bias showing up in all the systems, in all platforms that we integrate AI in, because the thing is, the people building the technology are not free of bias. We are not free of bias, and that's not an issue. The issue is that we don't take the time to recognize how that bias entering into the development or the product that we're creating will have ripple effects and outcomes that we were not expecting, which is why it makes sense to look at your platform, look at your product, and investigate, question the areas that you may not have as much knowledge in. You want to ask the questions such as who's at the table, who's not in the room, who has difficulty using this tool, product, technology, app in a way that it was meant to be used. So we're seeing bias not only in financial industry, we're seeing it in healthcare industry, we're seeing it in education, we're seeing it across the board. Anywhere that we use this tool, because it is a tool, means that we need to look at the foundation of our design. We're implementing restorative or liberatory design principles, human design, human first or society first design principles, and checking ourselves for the biases that are conscious and unconscious. When we know and realize the first step to anything, to solving anything or changing anything, is admitting that there is a problem. One, we know this problem exists. Two, how do we then address it? We document any place where it shows up, and we document how it shows up so that we know how to then solve for it and with whom we can solve for it.
Absolutely. We have one more audience question for small teams. So I think like if you've got, resources and research analysts and stuff, you can maybe it's easier to spot some of these blind spots. But for startups that are looking to build inclusive from the start and recognize that business value that you spoke to, do you have any tips for small product teams trying to implement this?
Yes, yes. It doesn't matter how large or small you are. I do understand when you're smaller, you do have more constraints. Um, I have several, not necessarily resources that are beneficial for startups. You can also reach out to us to support you while you're building and ensuring that you are working, asking the kind of questions that are going to support your design and product and engineering teams. And then third, um, just recognizing the fact that not everyone can wear everyone's hat means you need to look externally for supportive sources. So having documentation that helps you create principles, that helps you create the kind of archetypes for the people that you're building with, recognizing that not everyone in the team is going to have accessibility issues. So going into the real world, talk to your friends, talk to your family members. We all actually have examples in our lives of people who cannot use the products the way we intend them to be used. And so crowdsource, have people test it, play with it before you ever get to thinking that the code is locked in and settled. Reach out to people. We're always willing to help.
That's fantastic. Great parting wisdom. Thank you so much, Dr. Dede, for joining us here. And we've got links to all your resources for folks that want to follow up and learn more.
Wonderful. Thank you.
Um, all right. I'm going to close things out here. That was our final session of the day with Dr. Dédé. I want to return for just a couple minutes to what Becky shared at the start of Accelerate, talking about successful AI deployments. So she shared this iceberg diagram, which I think perfectly captures that 95% success rate, 95% fail rate of AI deployments that we saw in the MIT study, and really returning to what does the 5% do right? What is the difference maker? It's everything that is under the water. So it is the data that you have feeding those AI deployments, the ontology and the context, the integrations, all of those things that you need a foundation for to succeed and be in that 5%, are not obvious and aren't those shiny things that maybe you're chasing or gravitate to right away. And so at Dragonboat, that's really what our platform provides, is this data platform for product and portfolio teams to succeed with those AI deployments, to build products at scale and at the speed of AI, and help you make those better decisions, help you optimize your time as you go through the build and launch and hopefully succeed process. So thank you so much for joining us for today's sessions, and I hope that everyone had meaningful takeaways from start to finish that can impact the way that they're building and shipping products across their portfolio. We will send out recordings to folks shortly with all of the sessions. Anything you missed, you'll be able to re-watch. But for now, thank you so much for attending Accelerate, and we will see you on the internet. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye.